Hey, what's up, guys? It's Drew from The Money Is Show, and today I have two special guests on the show for you. A young business couple, all the way from Hotlanta, my hometown. And it's a husband-wife couple that founded and are the CEOs of the Engler Group up in North Georgia, which is a real estate agency company. They got a cool story because they're young, and he reminds me a lot of myself, except for I was, of course, much better looking at his age. But that was his wife that was laughing, so we'll now switch over to the Engler Group. Hey guys, Kamron and Hannah, how you guys doing?
Good. Great, so happy to be here.
Appreciate you flying all the way out from Atlanta, Georgia.
Thanks for having us.
That's actually, did you fly from Atlanta or Chattanooga? I was just thinking about that.
We flew from Atlanta.
Atlanta, okay. I mean, from where you're at in LJ, that's still a trip.
Yeah, it was about an hour.
Down there.
Yeah. To
the airport. Because up where I'm at in Alpharetta area, North Alpharetta, that's like, it's still almost an hour to get to the freaking airport with no traffic.
Oh, yeah.
With no traffic.
And
if
it was
you go
wild.
like at 5 a.m.
Yeah, we got it pretty early.
You got it early?
Yeah.
And you guys are hanging out here in Utah, Park City?
Yep.
Is this your first time to Park City?
Oh yeah, it's my first time to Utah in general.
Yeah. Have you been to Utah before?
Never.
It's
I've
unique,
only
huh?
flew one
It is
other
cool.
time.
Really? You've only flown one time?
This
is
is
your second
her
time to
first time.
fly?
This is my first time.
Shut up.
I swear.
That was your first time to fly?
Yep.
And it was your second time to fly? My gosh, I can't even like process that. Like I fly so much. I can't even think of what that feels like. Did you take Delta?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Of
that's
course.
good. You should take Delta.
I
so.
was scared to take anything other than Delta.
Other than Delta? Very cool, man. So what do you think of Utah so far?
It's definitely
From Georgia.
It's
I'm from
definitely
Georgia.
different. Especially the mountains and LJ.
Yeah.
They
Way
are.
smaller than LJ.
They're little bitty hills compared to the ones out here.
It's crazy because like in Georgia we stay with the LJ Mountains, Blue Ridge Mountains, and then you come out here and you're like, wait a second, those aren't mountains. I was sold a bill of goods.
Yeah, those are hills.
Yeah, there's like rolling hills now, right? It's a totally different look out here, man. I totally love it. Matter of fact, right before the show, I was booking my mountain biking for tomorrow because I love going up in the mountains. It's like extremely peaceful, man. I hope you guys get a chance to go up there. All right, so I want to dive into the story because it's unique, and I want to try to help a lot of people here that I think you guys can help with your kind of story of personal life and then into the business side, right? Where you guys are at and where you're headed with it. Again, Kamron, you're in this unique situation, and I wanted to say this because I think it ties into the story. You're 2 years younger than Hannah. You guys are married now, but you're 2 years younger than her. Which kind of starts maybe around, let's start there with a story, not in business, but I want to start on the personal side to help anybody who, because as a young person, especially like I grew up in Georgia, which is like the, Bible Belt area, right? And it's like there was a ton of pressure to not have any type of physical sexual activity, and then like getting pregnant as a teenager was like earth-shattering. Game over. You might as well just go work at the Dollar General and stay there the entire time. Like you have no future ahead of you, people. And obviously, the story I want to get out is to a lot of young people right now is, hey, that's not actually true. I'm not, and you guys can talk to this. I'm not saying that you should try to get pregnant as a teenager, but if it does happen and it does take place, life still goes on, and you can actually accomplish a lot still at it. So. If you guys can, I'll let you kind of tell the story. I was going to just kind of prefix it there. Back up to where you want to start. I know you were in 10th grade, but tell me a little bit about the story and what it was like going through that as a young couple.
Yeah, so I met her in middle school. Thought she was the hottest thing ever.
And still do.
Still do. And I remember telling my friends, I'm going to get with that girl.
Yeah.
And, she blew me off at first. And then
typical women, man.
He was younger. I was like, nope.
Yeah, you can't date you're not a cougar in middle school. You can't be a cougar.
That's
in
what
middle
I was
school.
called.
Yeah.
Yeah. And anyway, so about a couple 6 months, like 6 months went by.
Yeah.
And I met her. I went to the bus stop, and this girl says, "Hey," and it's her.
Uh-huh.
And I meet her there, and of course, me being the player that I was, I was like, "Hey, can I get your number?" And I also asked her for a hug.
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
It's like the first time really talking to her.
So what were you like 6th grade, 7th grade?
7th at that
Seventh.
time.
You were
Yeah.
7th, and that means you had been a
I
freshman?
was in 9th grade, yeah.
Oh, wow.
So we saw each other at like where all the buses, after they picked up middle school kids, would come to the high school.
Yeah.
And I rode the bus at the time, so I saw him out there. We saw each other out there, which I
Yeah,
felt
that was
like
a big deal dating a girl in high school being in middle school.
Yeah, it was. I felt like the man.
Of course, yeah. You guys meet in middle school, start dating
Mm-hmm.
after she ignored you for 6 months and made you earn it. Then you guys start dating in middle school, go through all the way through. So you were in, let's say, 7th grade. Then you go all the way through 10th grade, right? 7th, 8th, and 9th. You're 3-4 years into dating at that point.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And then, she at this point is a junior, senior?
I was a senior.
Senior.
Yeah.
I'm a sophomore, and we're hitting things off. Things are great. I'm focused on football, and we find out that we're pregnant, and it was pretty crazy. I didn't really, my dad actually had kids early too.
Mm-hmm.
He had me
Very, yeah.
Mm.
so I'd always heard, that's going to be super tough, and then to actually have it in my own life, I knew that I had to go ahead and get my responsibilities, accept my responsibility to take care of her and my new baby that was coming. But the next day, I actually find out that I'm going into foster care. I was getting off the bus, and these two guys, me and my brother, were going to the bus to go home. These two guys in suits, they just grab us and say, hey, you need to come with us. There's been an incident with your mother. And we're like, what the heck? We think an accident or something.
Yeah.
And
Sure.
they won't tell us any information, though. They just say, all we can say is there's been an incident. So they put us in a car, take us to this building, and I see defects on there. So I knew something was up, but I didn't really know what. And we ended up that day being put into Child Protective Services. So I find out she was pregnant, and the next day this happens.
Very
So-
scary.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, obviously there's a huge moment in life where like, hey, I'm having a baby. And then 24 hours later, you're also now in foster care and getting picked up by two strange men, if you will, taking you off to foster care with the instance there. I'm going to go to you for a second, Hannah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm trying to think through it. Like, I mean, obviously, like I said, having a baby, you're a senior then. Finding out you're pregnant is like, oh crap, we're pregnant. Obviously, I don't think you were trying to be pregnant in 10th grade. And what was it like when you then find out your partner was no longer even in the same household and was off to in this like crazy situation of defect / foster care, not knowing where it's going to go, and now you have this baby as well. That had to be like a complete whirlwind.
It was like a nightmare.
Yeah.
Really, because I was thinking, well, in foster care, they can send someone anywhere, wherever in Georgia, if there's not a home available in the town
Right.
you're in. So I was just freaking out, thinking, oh my gosh, I'm not going to see him anymore, and I just didn't know what they were going to do.
Yeah, you already had this like massive unexpected with the baby and all the
Yep.
unexpected things that happen during a pregnancy and
Yep.
in the 9 months, and now you have this other total unexpected of, geez, my partner, I don't even know where he's going to be, where he's going to
Yep.
end up at, where it's going to happen at. To me, the amount of stress and anxiety
gosh.
and would have been through the roof.
It was.
At that time.
I was freaking out.
I want to ask you a personal question if I can, and you guys don't feel free not to answer it, but what was there any point during when you found out that you were pregnant, was there any point that you guys thought, hey, maybe the best option would be to have an abortion and not move forward? Was there
No.
any thoughts?
Never.
Any of
That
you?
was never
Never went through your head?
Never an option for us.
Never. Actually, immediately when we found out I was pregnant, because I kind of had some suspicions, like we just started making plans for what we were going to do immediately, because
Sure.
there's no way I was going to get an abortion. So yeah, I mean, no, we were ready to take it on and just, have the responsibility. And then, that happens, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I felt alone.
Oh, I can't imagine the aloneness
Yeah.
of that time. If I can ask, why was there no thought of abortion? Was it was it the way you were brought up with religion and a value system in that, or just that it hit and it was like not even an option? Where did it come from?
A mix.
A mix?
Of course, was brought up in a Christian family.
Environment,
So I was like, no, there's no way I could do that. But I also just personally wouldn't want to.
Gotcha.
It's just I wanted our baby,
Sure.
and I loved him. We still do, of course, but we were together for a while, and it ain't like it was some random
Right. One
thing.
night, you guys were at a party in high school, and it happened, right? You guys were obviously dating at the time for several years.
But either
there.
way, I wouldn't.
Gotcha. Okay. So you guys now, you figure the story out. Now you're a senior, you're in sophomore, you're having a baby, but you're also kind of being treated like a baby to a certain degree. Of like, you're in 10th grade, and at 10th grade as a boy especially is like kind of when you really start exploring like your freedom to a certain degree and driving and all those things are happening. And now I would have been like so frustrated getting picked up and then shipped around. And I would have just stayed in my house by myself, than getting shipped around to different places or whatever. So the amount of like frustration on your part had been through the roof.
Yeah, exactly, man. I mean, and also, like I'm having a child at this point, but the way that the system works, you still don't get to accept the responsibility to be an adult now for that baby and start getting things lined up to provide for your responsibilities.
Yeah, so frustrating because like you have this baby now, you want to take on the responsibility, you want to say, hey, I'm going to be a dad, I'm going to be a part of the pregnancy, I'm going to be part of the childbirth and getting prepared, but then you're getting like tossed around and controlled by the system you can't circumvent because of your age, and it won't allow you to do anything that you actually want to do, which are kind of the right things to go do. Man, I would have been like running my head against a wall of like total frustration.
Yeah, it was awful, and then it just kept going through my mind. I wanted to be there for her, and her just having to be kind of alone during that period sucks.
That was tough. Yeah, it'd be super tough. Like you're saying, like here I am having a kid, but I'm getting treated like a kid. But I'm supposed to be a dad and a father, but I'm getting treated like, a kid as well. You guys have the baby. You graduate high school. You go through the rest of the high school. Both you graduate high school. You start a job working, and you get a scholarship for football to go play football, right?
Yes.
Okay. So here's what I pick up at, because I want to go through another tough decision in life.
All right.
Right? Like, again, I'm going through, like, this is a tough 2 years that you guys went through, right? Of, like, in foster care, then going back, and then having the baby and so forth. And then you graduate high school, and now at that point, at least you're, like, 18 and can actually fully be an adult, and no one can, like, foster care can't tell you what to do and so forth. But at that moment, you get a scholarship to go play football in North Dakota, which is almost as far away as you possibly could have went.
Yeah.
Like if you look on a map and put Georgia and North Dakota, it's like there's not Florida and Washington State are about the only two things further. And you get a scholarship to go play football. What's the conversation like between you two of do I move to North Dakota, take the scholarship, or do I stay here? How does that transpire?
Well, we knew that in our situation we grew up hearing, you need to get an education in order to make it, in order to provide for your family. So our conversation was, it had to be done. We felt that if I was going to be able to provide, that I needed to go get an education. So, and this was my only chance. We didn't come from a family with money, so this was my only shot at ever getting an education because we couldn't afford it any other way. So, with that, I decided that I was going to go up there. She supported it, and she was going to come with me. That's what the coach told me, that he was going to provide within the next semester, provide her an opportunity to come up there as well. We were going to get marital housing, and that's what was supposed to happen. But it was just, we just decided that it was the right thing to do to move up there.
Well, I want to talk to Hannah. I'm gonna go back to you for a second. I'm just trying to put myself in your shoes, right? Like where you were in life, and to me, I'm like looking back and thinking, man, you get pregnant and there's this immediate disconnect because he gets picked up the next day from defects and it's like this immediate separation. Then graduates, he's 18, can do more stuff on his own, and now it's I'm gonna move away to go to college, right? Not that he was wanting to go to North Dakota, but I'm saying that was where it was, and that was opportunity, that was the only opportunity available. And then you had to deal with, hey, now we could almost start the family and move on. Then there's this second shift of like, okay, he's leaving again to go to North Dakota. What was that like? And obviously you didn't fly out to see him because this was your first time to fly. So it was like, it wasn't like an easy place to like drive to or we'll spend weekends together. It was like, well, I'll see you whenever you get back, What was it like?
So I originally was kind of like, oh my gosh, can you not find a college somewhere else closer
down the
because this
road.
is really far.
There's like 1,900 colleges in Georgia and you picked North Dakota.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to lie. At first I was a little bit upset. I was like, that's too far. I need you here.
Sure.
But then, of course, I thought about it and we talked about it. And I was like, well, I'm not going to tell you not to go take that opportunity.
Wow.
And I knew he loved football. I'm not going to be that person that's like, I'm going to leave you if you go do this. So I was like, I know whatever's meant to be will happen. And I had a feeling you'd come back anyways because it's freezing in North Dakota. And who wants to be up there?
Exactly. It's too cold up there for a Georgia boy.
I was thinking about, going up there because what his coach had said. But, I mean, I'm glad it worked out the way it did. But I was scared at first,
Yeah, I mean, obviously kudos to you. It's to be such a supportive partner and wife. I mean, that's I can't probably think of many women that would be like, okay, yeah, let's do it again, round 2, and you can leave, and the first time not being your fault, of course, and this one is like that choice. I mean, that was super. I'm putting myself there and thinking, man, how difficult that would have been for you, and to hear you say that you totally supported him and on that journey and the dream of his dream of playing football is like super complimentary for you, which I think brings into maybe why your guys' business relationship works very well as well. Which is where I'm headed with this whole thing. This story here is obviously we all have different paths, right? We all have different journeys, and they're not always the way that we meant them to be or planned them to be or whatever. And things happen in my life, your life, and the journey that you guys are on. You guys have made it into what it has been. Like you guys took from wherever it was. Hey, these are the cards that we dealt right now, and let's go figure out a way to improve where we're at. And I love a conversation we had in our office, Anna, when you were talking about somewhere in my family, someone in my generation, someone generationally eventually has to say, okay, I'm going to be the one that changes our financial situation. And it seems like both of you guys are kind of doing that. You come back from college after you kind of find out that it wasn't what was promised, putting it shortly and lightly, of there was no moving her up there. There was no marital home that was going to happen. There was no another shoe dropping for you. It was, well, you're already up here. Just stay up here and finish your collegiate football career. And at that point, you say that I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to stay up here without my wife for 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
And you move back. Okay. Now I'm going to ask you a question. So many young men have a dream to go on to play professional sports, right? It's like so many young people have that ambition and dream, and you get to college and you play through high school and have a baby, but keep playing, and football is life for you at the time, and almost even to a certain degree a way out of financial situations and family situations, and then you go to college, you get your scholarship, you end up going to college, and then in first year into it, you're like, I can't have my wife, I can't have my baby up here. It's either football or go back home and go to work. And you choose to go back home and go to work. And kind of, I'm not going to say give up on, but set aside a massive personal dream of God knows how many hours in a weight room and running and so forth. What was it like coming to that realization that it's time to hang it up and go back and take my responsibilities?
Well, after my coach kind of, whenever I realized those promises that he made weren't going to happen, the thought of leaving her down there to fend for herself and be alone. It just wasn't something that sit right with me.
Yeah.
And giving up football, I mean, it's a awesome game, my childhood dream, but eventually, sometimes you have to put away dreams to, deal with your responsibilities and provide for your family.
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the things that I think, as I spend the day with you here is how much character I see with you of taking care of responsibilities. Like, especially the generations that are here now, it's like, I think one of the biggest things we miss in our country as a society is this word called personal responsibility. Of, you have personal responsibility. Like, you did this or whatever it is, and there's personal responsibility, and it seems like in the world that we live in, nobody wants to take personal responsibility for anything. Mm-mm. It's like, it was somebody else's fault, it was somebody else's problem, it can never be my problem, right? And here you are as a sophomore in high school, trying to take personal responsibility, senior in high school trying to take personal responsibility, and then in college giving up your dreams to take, again, personal responsibility. Is there anywhere that you can look back and think where that level of character of taking personal responsibility came from?
I would say probably my dad. My dad's always, worked that into me. He took opportunities in my childhood to sit down with me and have those types of conversations.
Uh-huh.
That, there's going to be times in life where you got to do the right thing always. Mm. And I think that's where that comes from, my father. Mm-hmm.
So let's pick back up on the story, because I want to get in the business side of it now. Now you guys are back together in LJ, Georgia, North Georgia, and you're back from college. Some of you guys moved in back together, starting the family side of things now, and now work and the stress and problems of money and paying for bills and trying to get ahead all start kicking in now all of a sudden, right? Super fast dose of real world kicks in, right? Okay, tell me what happens. You're working where?
So whenever I come back, I don't got a job, and I need to make some money to buy diapers and everything. So my dad owned a business, a construction business. He still is in the business. But at the time, I knew that was going to be my best opportunity to make the most without having to, stay at a job, 6 months to a year. So I started working with him, doing hard labor, sanding drywall, getting
the worst.
Covered in.
I hate drywall.
It was, just manual labor jobs. It sucked.
Yeah. You're 19 at the time.
Yes.
Around there, give or take. You're 19 at the time. And you start working construction. You're working as well.
I was at a daycare, yeah. I worked at a daycare for a couple years.
So now you're not a single mom, but to a certain degree, when he was at college, kind of living like a single mom,
yeah,
to a certain degree, right? And while being that away, or whatever you want to call it, single mom, you get a job as well at a daycare. Mm-hmm. Is that because you just couldn't get enough of kids screaming and yelling, or just a dying need to be around them more?
Well, let me tell you, that was fun. But I was working there while he was in North Dakota also.
Right.
And, I was a single mom, and they had free daycare, and I knew the people that owned it. So it was a good fit at the time. Of course, it wasn't paying the bills, really.
Sure.
But, yeah, I had worked there. It was stressful because I had a toddler at home.
Right.
So he was...
And then you're around kids all day long.
Actually, the age group that I had, which was about 7 to 8 kids in one little room, they were about 1.5, was the same age of my child. So
that's what I'm saying. Like,
it was interesting, stressful.
Yeah.
For sure.
So you're working at daycare at this time. You're working construction at this time, and as somewhere along those lines, you guys have a conversation and come to a realization of, crap, this is not going to work financially, not the relationship, but financially.
Yep.
How does it happen?
Oh, you can speak.
You go ahead.
Okay. So, we were both, of course, barely making it, paying the bills, and then one day, he starts talking about real estate, and I was thinking, that's a great way to go, especially because it doesn't involve college, and it's a sales job, so you can determine what you make, and I knew he was motivated anyway, so I knew he would do good. Mm-hmm. And so he decided to go that route, and then I get into insurance sales because my mom does it. So I thought, okay, let's both go the sales route. And I did not like insurance. It
life
wasn't
insurance, car insurance,
life insurance.
life insurance. Okay.
So you can talk about the rest of it.
Yeah, I mean, we just were barely getting by working our previous jobs with my dad and her at daycare, and so whenever I did the math one day, I could either put in more time and sacrifice time, or I could learn a higher paying skill.
Yeah.
And so that's what drove me to the sales, because I knew there wasn't a limit on it, and I just thought it would be it wasn't something that had a big barrier to get into. So I knew if I just learned the skills, it'd be something that would provide money for my family.
Mm. You start your real estate agent career in LJ. You're in insurance.
Yes.
At the time.
Mm-hmm. And very pregnant at the time, by the way, I will add.
That's right. You have a second baby.
Yes.
Right around that same time.
Mm-hmm.
So you're back home, and you have your baby girl at that time, right? Because she's 2 right now.
So I was really pretty far along pregnant when I decided to get into insurance, because I was like, I want to be doing something. So we have another baby coming. So I got into it, and I was very dedicated to it.
Was the insurance commission-based only?
Yes.
Yeah, and obviously agent is as well. That's brilliant. You guys take 2 commission-based only
smart, right?
freaking jobs at the same time. What could possibly go wrong?
It was, well, okay, so the office I worked out of was in Atlanta. So I would drive there twice a week for the conferences that they would do and like the training. And I would do cold calling, which it did teach me a little bit about cold calling. So I was kind of glad I had that before I started real estate.
One car, by the way.
Oh, we had one car.
Perfect.
I was super far along. Had I had a pretty hard pregnancy, but I was driving. I was motivated to do it. But at the end of the day, it was just something that made me miserable. I mean, it was just not. First of all, insurance is boring, and it was a lot of driving too, because I had to go to people's personal homes. It was kind of sketchy too. Like, it wasn't really safe for me to be doing it. So I just, I started seeing how good he was doing in real estate. I mean, he was up late. He really took time to do training on his own, not even from RE/MAX or anyone. Like, he just did his own research, taught himself skills from, YouTube and multiple things. And he started doing really well, especially for a new agent. So it really motivated me to join him.
You became an agent a year ago?
Almost a year ago.
Almost a year ago. And then you guys partner up and start the Engler group, which is your guys' last name. And you guys now running the Engler group up in LJ, Georgia.
Yes.
Is that right? Both agents now. You talk about as an agent. The thing when I think about an agent, I think about it seems like there's 100,000 real estate agents. It's like everybody.
Oh yeah.
It became a super hot job for some reason, and everybody went and became an agent. And then there's this unique thing where it's like, anytime someone goes to sell a house, they don't actually like look for an agent. They just call their buddy, friend, cousin, whoever it is that is a real estate agent, and they're like, oh, I got to sell my house, which makes it super hard to go get business because everybody knows an agent.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Right.
It's not like where it used to be, where there's only so many agents. It's like, dude, everybody freaking knows an agent right now. All right, so obviously the big question becomes, how the heck do you drive business to your direction versus getting mixed in the fold of all the other agents?
I think the question you have to ask yourself is, why should someone use you over their relative that they know so well? Because they don't know you at all. And I think you just have to brand yourself that you have enough value for that to make sense for them to use you. And just doing things that other agents just aren't willing to do,
Let me talk about the brand side for a second. A lot of misconceptions on branding and brand, et cetera. But when you talk about brand yourself a certain way, what does that mean to you when you say brand yourself a different way or a separate way from other agents? What do you mean by brand yourself?
So, brand, I would say, whenever people look at you on social media, what do they see? Are you like what type of agent are you? What's your story? Who are you as an agent, as a person too? And just taking a look at what other people are doing in the marketplace and capitalizing on things that they're not doing. Figuring out a niche that no one's taking advantage of and capitalizing on that. That's what I think.
So you're looking for a niche in the market, a niche lane, if you will, that you can jump into and then brand yourself as the solution, if you will, of that niche area of business there.
For sure. When
I think of the word brand, with going on the lines of what you talked about there, when I think of the word brand, I think about how you're describing it is when someone at niche, whatever it may be, right? Someone at LJ wants a mountain home or a second home in the Blue Ridge Mountains. It's them associating their, if it was a second home, it's them associating their second home with your brand, your face, if you will.
For sure.
In that example, right? So it's I'm giving you a niche market, right? A niche market could be, we want to specialize with out-of-state second home buyers, right? It would be a niche, right? And to create a brand, then that means that anytime someone thinks about, oh man, I got to buy a second home up in the Blue Ridge Mountains, they would then have to associate a second home in Blue Ridge Mountains with you, because that's how you branded and made them feel when anytime they saw anything on social media, that's how they viewed you as. Am I saying that right? Am I saying that back to you the right way?
For sure. That's exactly what it is. And I think you have to make sure whatever brand you choose, whatever niche you choose, that needs to align with who you are as a person as well. And I think that's one thing that I feel some people miss out on, trying to brand themselves as something that they see working with someone else. That might not work for you.
Yeah.
Especially if it doesn't align with you as a person, you know. So.
Yeah, I think inside of branding, obviously I do a ton of branding. I think the word authenticity is an absolute must inside of branding. And I think a lot of people, even myself when I was first into business, just recently, not recently, but maybe I don't know, a year ago, I was going through a bunch of stuff with social media and trying to navigate through it and figure some stuff out. And I had all these social media companies coming in. I was paying all these people, the social media companies, to do all this stuff, and I was super frustrated, and because I wasn't getting the message out that I was looking for. And I remember in this meeting, they kept asking me, like, okay, well, do you want to be more like this person, or do you want to be more like this person, or do you want to be like this person? I remember being so frustrated, saying, I don't want to be any of them.
Yeah. I
just want to be me. Like, I'm not trying to be anybody out there. I'm just trying to be me, and this is what I do in my life, right? This is it. You can like it, love it, hate it, think it's stupid, but this is what I do. And I've always found great satisfaction and comfort in knowing that I'm not trying to be somebody else. This is just who I am. This is my brand, and not in a negative or a mean way of take it or leave it, but as a way of like, I can only reach who I can reach but I am very authentic to who I am, right?
For sure.
And I think in any type of branding, you're hitting the nail on the head that you've got to be authentic to you as a person, because it will show through eventually.
Yeah.
It always freaking shows through. Hannah, let me ask you a question about working together, because there's a unique part here that of husband and wife teams that struggle massively working together, right? Like, where's the line at? Especially that if you're working together in an agency, which means it's kind of a work from home job that you guys are both kind of working from home for the most part, and then you have 2 kids at home, and then there's the husband and wife relationship, and the partner relationship, and then the mother-father relationship, and then the business partner relationship. That's a lot of blurry lines, right? Any tips or advice you can give on working together as husband, wife, partners, etc.?
Yes. So for us, I feel like our strengths are different. So I prefer him to control, most of the business stuff, especially with the marketing and everything, because he's more creative, and I feel like that's his strength. For me, I feel like, the little details, like, like going on the MLS, sending that. I'll even do that for him sometimes since he does so much of the marketing. And then just dealing with people and talking to people. Like sometimes he's too busy or something. I feel like we have different strengths in that way. And then I think what's also important is to not let it mess up your relationship or mess with it. Like I personally think it works best for me. I see him as the leader of our team, and I'm not trying to compete with him. I do think there's probably some couples out there that, I don't know, maybe the women think, well, I want to compete with my husband, I mean, not everyone, but there's probably
Sure.
some. I just don't see it as a competition. I feel like we work best when we work together, and I like for him to take the lead in our team. I see him as the leader. And I don't have a problem with that. Like it actually works better for me that way.
Yeah, I totally agree.
us.
I think that in any type of business, in any type of sports relationship, there naturally has to be a leader.
Yes,
right?
definitely.
You can't have 11 leaders on one team all saying, this is what we're all going to do, we're going to do this, we're going to do this, we're going to do this. You have to have that one leader that with that one voice that the team, if you will, at that moment in time on the field follows, right? And they're the ones kind of calling the shots. Not that the other 10 players are not leaning in, giving what they see, their advice, their opinions, whatever it is. But I think in anything, naturally, there has to be kind of this leadership role that has to be taken, and then there has to be a followership role that has to be taken. And it's not a winner or loser. It's not that one is good and one is bad, or one is right and one is wrong. And I think sometimes in our society, kind of what you were talking about, I think it becomes this like competition of like, well, I have to be the number one person or the number one salesperson or the number one whatever it is in that relationship, and it doesn't work. You don't have to be.
I don't think it would work that way, because eventually you're going to end up, especially in any business, you're going to end up competing and start, you're going to have relationship issues from that.
Yeah.
So I feel like know your role for your relationship for what works. I feel like personally, he's the man of the household and he takes care of us, and I want him to be, of course, he's the leader of our team, and I see him that way. I'm not, upset like, well, I want to control things, and I know some people, their relationships are different. So it's whatever really works for your relationship, but for us, I see him as the leader of our team.
Do you guys have any rules, if you will, or guidelines of, I'll make stuff up, okay, after 7, we don't do any more business, we only do family stuff, or we don't start business until 10 a.m. Do you have any type of like rules around the house that you guys abide by when it comes to business / family, and or is it more of the family and business is more integrated and mixed in? It's just part of the ecosystem that's there. Which way more is it?
I would say what you just said. We do not set time limits to work because, for one, I don't think we'd be very successful, because this job, I've been up till 1 a.m., so is he working. So, of course, we make time for family, and we pretty much work from anywhere if we have to. We don't set times like when we have to finish, because it wouldn't work.
Yeah, and the way we balance that is, sometimes whenever I'm working, she might be spending time with the kids.
Oh, yeah.
Sometimes whenever she's working, I'm spending time with the kids. So it balances out.
Yeah.
So.
Any other, Hannah, and then I'll throw it over to you, Kamron, any other, on this topic of working relationship, any other advice, tips, techniques that you want to talk about when it comes to a husband-wife working relationship / partnership?
So I think basically you just need to have a conversation with one another about what works, and just set the role for each other and how you're comfortable with each other. And I think don't compete, because you're a team. So you need to work together because it's your family. Just set what you want for each other, like how you want things to be. Have a conversation about it, and really do it. Act that way.
Yeah, I think the competition, again, the competition illustration advice you gave, I think is probably the best advice, in the sense of too much of couples relationships. Business partnerships is this massive competition, which is a little bit of ego is going to play inside of that. And anytime there's egos inside of a relationship, it's going to be super hard to work out.
I would like to say too, in this generation, and I'm not against, don't be offended at anyone, but I'm not against this. It's just personally, I've seen a lot of the you know, the feminist stuff, that's like a big thing these days,
Sure.
which is great. I think you can be, you know, you can be feministic and you can be a powerful woman beside your man. I think a lot of women see it as, well, I have to dominate the man and be above him to feel that way. But no, you can work together and be a power couple. You don't have to be above the man or anything. Like, you know, you can work together and you can stand beside the man and still feel powerful and work together instead of having to be a competition of, well, I'm a woman and, you know, I want to prove something. I think that's where, in this generation, that's a mistake. I feel like, I don't know.
Yeah, obviously in our society now, feminism is like a massive, it obviously has been around for a long time, you know, decades and decades, but obviously in the last, 10, 20 years, it's in this explosion mode, and it's almost like we're trying to define as a society what it is and where does it fit, where does it work, etc. And I agree with what you're saying, like, feminism does not mean that you have to be the leader or number one or in this massive competition.
You don't have to be against a man.
And you don't have to be against the partner, the husband. But on the same hand, I also think where there is room for growth is on the male side of supporting the strength and the independence of the female.
Right.
And I think that there was a time that was probably too much of no, and then again, I'm speaking out of my generation here, but it seems like in the past there was a point of like there wasn't any respect for the strength that a woman was providing inside the household.
Definitely.
And it was almost looked as a second tier type thing, and it's not even remotely close to a second tier stay-at-home mom. I think one of the most honorable, beautiful things in the world is a stay-at-home wife and stay-at-home mom and what they can accomplish. But I do think in the feminist world, I think one thing that I have taken away from it is the ability for the males to appreciate, accept, and understand the role that the female plays inside the relationship.
Exactly.
Definitely.
I'm going to turn it to you, Kamron. Any thoughts on what she just said?
Yeah, I mean, without her, like what we're doing, it does not exist.
Yeah.
My kids, I would be covered up in
Diapers.
Yeah, I mean, without her, this just doesn't happen. So, thankfully, you know, we've sat down and we just laid our cards out there. Hey, this is what we're good at. You're good at this. I'm good at this, and allowing our strengths to work together instead of, you know, trying to pick on each other's weaknesses. You know. Stuff like that.
It's amazing because in a relationship, both people have strengths, people have weaknesses, and you can either play into each other's strengths or you can expose each other's weaknesses. Because no one knows your weakness better than she does, and no one knows her weaknesses better than you do. And it's so easy in a relationship to pick and point out the weaknesses and ignore all the 25 strengths that they're bringing to the relationship. I want to kind of end it before I go to the money assignment real quick, but I want to end it with: is there any other advice that you guys want to give teen moms that happen or young people that get pregnant in a relationship in 10th grade, 9th grade, whatever it is? Any advice you'd give them right now, looking at where you're at right now?
Yes. So, you know, I know it's very common that, you know, you get pregnant. Of course, that's a shock. You're young. You don't know what to do. And of course, a lot of the time you get pregnant and you're not in a relationship. So it's stressful and it's easier to just give up and say, you know what, and you need money right away. So you're going to go get a basic job, not making enough, being probably miserable and thinking this is it. I mean, I've had a kid young. I feel like some girls almost punish themselves for that. And I think it should be the very opposite. You had a kid young, but that does not mean that you can't be an example to other people and do bigger things for yourself and your kid. You know, I mean, there's so much opportunity out there, especially these days. So I feel like don't let that stop you. Of course, there's going to be a little more struggle, but I feel like it's a lot worse in the long run if you don't try to do something to change it.
Yeah, I think a great point you brought up that I haven't thought about is, I think a lot of times, especially probably more for the women than the men, I think women kind of, in a certain way, like you said, punish themselves of, I can't do this, or I shouldn't do this, or, well, I'm a 16-year-old mom, so I don't qualify for this or whatever it is. And they kind of go this role of kind of punishing themselves and not allowing themselves to be who they are. I think it's something I've never thought about, but I totally can see how, especially from the like I said, the female side, of them kind of punishing themselves for that. Any advice from you, Kamron, from the male side?
I would just say, if you have a child young or anything, just know that it's not the end of the world. And if you're struggling with something, you're struggling to find something that is allowing you to provide for your family, I would say just find someone that has what you want already. They have the life that you want, and either try to meet with them, buy them lunch or something, or just analyze what they've done to get themselves there and try to replicate it.
Yeah, it's another great point. I think that you can totally, in anything, but especially as a young couple, if you're looking for a lighthouse, if you will, find that couple that you're trying to, at least from what you can see, emulate and be like, and head that direction, and use that as kind of your north star, if you will, in pointing you to the right direction. Exactly. There's no one in this plan that has the perfect plan of parenting, the perfect plan of becoming an adult, the perfect plan of starting a business. Like, dude, everybody has different paths, right? You got to find the closest North Star that you can find, and to the best of your ability, head that direction. And man, I got nothing but a ton of respect for both of you, and in business and in life. And I can't compliment you enough, Kamron, on the personal responsibility. I think it's one of the biggest things that lack in our society as a whole today is personal responsibility, and total respect for you for that. And of course, Hannah, I love the amount of strength that you represent as a young single mom at the beginning, but also I love the amount of support and strength you have in yourself to support your husband and your partner through your guys' relationship, and become a team that actually can produce, versus two separate individuals that are really like two monkeys in a bag fighting with each other over one, banana or something. You guys have found a way to put together a team, and it's a lot of kudos to both of you. I'm going to end it with the last question, which is the Money Is Show question. And we have a picture here of both of you guys, Kamron and Hannah. And it's just the money is. What I want you guys to do, and you guys can either talk about it and come up with one answer. You guys may already have it, I don't know. Or you guys are more willing to put your answer, and then both of you guys sign it. Kamron, you're over here, so kind of sign it on this side, and Hannah, you kind of sign it on this side. So you guys can have one answer combined, or you can have both separate answers. Totally up to you on this. Give you that right there, and I give you the Sharpie right here.
Let you write it.
Okay.
Uh-oh.
I might have the better handwriting.
Someone has bad handwriting.
All right.
And then once you guys write it, hand it back to me, and then we'll discuss and talk about your guys' answer here.
You want me to go ahead and sign it?
Yeah. You sign it, and then
okay.
she can sign it just kind of
Where
above
do you
your...
want me to sign anywhere?
above kind of your name.
Okay.
And between the orange line. There you go. Perfect.
My signature's always weird looking.
Don't punish yourself, remember?
Yeah.
Right.
All right, here we go. This is Kamron and Hannah Engler from Atlanta, Georgia, and their answer is money is a requirement. Brittany, you can correct me if I'm wrong here, but I think it's the first time we've had that answer. My favorite part of the whole show is new answers. I'm like, sweet, a new answer for the wall. Super interesting. I grin as I read that answer. Because I don't know what you mean by it. I'm about to find out, but I have this initial thought of what that means. But when you guys say money is a requirement, I want both you guys to answer. So Kamron, you go first, and Hannah, you give your opinion as well. What does that mean when you say money is a requirement?
I think without money, you can't provide for your family.
Yeah.
You can't help people. If someone gets sick,
Yep.
You can't do anything for them. So I think you not going out there and trying to get money, not in the sense that it's like everything, but by not doing it, it's a disservice to your family and everybody that you care about around you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right, you go, and then I'm going to go.
Okay. So I think money is a requirement because, the world's hard enough. Life is hard enough without it.
Yeah.
So, without it, it's almost impossible, honestly. You're going to always have problems, but to have money in your family, it makes everything easier and less stressful, and you can focus on what's important. And it's definitely a requirement to grow any business or to grow in your life.
Yeah.
I mean, you need money.
You know, it's so funny, and I was hoping this is where you're going to go with it, and when I was grinning, and this is exactly what thought you were going to say, and I'm very glad. I think so many people deny that concept.
Oh, they do.
It's like they like what, and there is some truth to this statement, but it's like, well, I don't have to have money to be happy. And okay, I'm not saying in this weird kind of monk-like way. I'm sure there's a way to find a way to have it without it. But if your son was to get massively sick, or my kid would get massively sick, when I have money, there's a lot of stuff I can go do that the other parent, whatever, may not be able to go do because I do have this money. When a car breaks down on the side of the road, when I have money, like it sucks, but it's not that big a deal. I can call a tow truck, I can call an Uber, I can be back to my office, and I'm on with my day. You have no money, man, you're calling a buddy to try to get a chain and a truck and to start pulling this thing down the road, right? And it's such just like this concept of like, dude, no, money is a requirement. Like you needed to eat. You needed to pay your bills. You needed to take care of your kids. Like, it's a freaking requirement. Again, it goes back to like personal responsibility. Like, yeah, you have a responsibility to go make money.
That's
like
right.
You owe it to your family. You owe it to your children. Money is a requirement. We can all pretend and bury our head in the sand like it's like you don't have to have it. But dude, money is a freaking requirement. Like, what's the other plan that you have? Like, let me take it all away from you. What's your next plan? You know what I mean? And I think that we kind of have grew up. We're oh, this is gonna be fun. I'm gonna put us in the same group. We kind of grew up together, and I'm only doing it because I'm way older than you. But if I put myself in your group, I feel young again. So you don't have to laugh at that. To be honest, that was not needed to laugh out loud at least. But when you kind of grow up in this world of like, grow up in a poor family, and it's almost like they try to say. It's almost like they paint money as this bad thing.
Yeah.
And that you don't have to have it, you don't need it, you can find happiness other places. And we kind of get integrated in our head that that's the way that it works. And the reality is, it's almost like I feel like sometimes poor people use it as the excuse to their children as to why they don't have it.
That's exactly.
Yep,
So they
that's
make
what
it
it is.
like this bad thing, like, oh, well, rich people aren't happy. And rich people are evil, whatever it is, right? You know my sayings that I'm kind of going here, and I think it's just not a true concept. And so I freaking love your answer. It's a bold answer, and I absolutely believe it, respect it, and at a young age of 22, I'm glad you guys understand it. Like, it's your duty, it's your God-given right to go get money, and you have a responsibility, and your word is you have a requirement in life to go get it. So great answer, guys. I love having you guys out here. You're a great couple, and a lot even from my old age that I can learn from you guys and how you guys work together. And you both have great strengths, and I thoroughly enjoyed my time with you guys. And again, compliment you both of you for your again strength as a single mom and independence, and your die-hard character of personal responsibility is like total respect for that. And you guys now building a business together, I'm totally supportive of you. If there's anything I do to help, let us know. I hope the listeners have enjoyed it. I know if I enjoyed hanging out with you guys. If you're watching today, this is The Money Is Show, and we'll see you next week on The Money Is Show.